Oh Hey Andi presents book recommendations based on things I like. Episode 1, The Entities.
Please record as soon as possible. Regards. Oh Hey Andi. What the fuck? Statement of Andi Brown regarding some book recommendations based on the entities, the primordial figures from the popular podcast known as the Magnus Archives. Original statement given March 8th, 2021. Video recording by Andi Brown, head book nerd. Statement taken direct from subject. Statement begins. Gente, and welcome back to my channel. It has been a minute, hasn't it? But it's good to be back. If you couldn't tell from the opening, I really like the Magnus Archives, and since it has been a while, we'll say, since I have made a booktube video, I thought it would be fun to give you guys some recommendations of books I've read within the last year that kind of vibe very hard with the entities. If you don't know what the Magnus Archives is, it is a British horror podcast by Rusty Quill, and it follows the new head archivist Jonathan Sims as he attempts to update and record all the statements from the Magnus Institute. However, things aren't always what they seem, and our head archivist is in a little bit over his head. So before we get into the recommendations, let's set up some ground rules. Not all of these are going to be horror or thriller. There are going to be books that I think have themes that connect very well with the entities. And don't worry if you haven't listened to the Magnus Archives, I'll give a brief explanation as to every entity, and I will give you the reasons why I think these books vibe so hard with each entity. So, spoilers for most of the books, and some spoilers for the Magnus Archives, and on to the recommendations. Our first entity is The Buried, and I wasn't lying, this is actually my script. I did print it out and put it in a folder. The Buried is a manifestation of being trapped in without enough space. So claustrophobia, small spaces, being unable to breathe, underground, dust, that kind of all falls in this entity's domain. And it doesn't always have to be like physical buryment or physical depths. It could be metaphorical, such as having crushing debt, having crushing expectations. So for this one, I picked one of my favorite books of last year, Gideon the Ninth. Gideon has to perform well under pressure. There's a lot of themes of going underground, as well as dirt and locked tombs. You know, some of you who listen to Magnus Archives might be like, oh, but Gideon does more with like the vast because of space. I would agree. However, I felt like I picked a better book for vast, and I really wanted to put Gideon on here. I think that there's a lot of themes of just like heaviness, of like, again, tombs and dirt, that I think the book deals with more than just the vastness and emptiness of space. Next is The Corruption. So this is feelings of disgust, revulsion, as well as fear of corruption, disease, and filth. It manifests in mold, bugs, rot, and infection. Not only that, there's elements of love and companionship, as some people who are targeted by the corruption are toxic people. So what better book to represent decay, literal toxic relationships, rot, Mexican Gothic. Literally, that is the entire book. I literally was like, oh my god, this is an entity of the corruption. Oh, ooh, beautiful, love it. And it even includes the weird concepts of love and the like companionship and fondness. The next fear is the dark. This is one of the oldest fears, and it's about the dark and the unknowing of what's within it. It often manifests as dark, brackish water, as well as coldness and blindness. For this one, I picked An Unkindness of Ghosts. Again, this one could also fit with the vast due to the space element. I feel as though the themes of rolling blackouts, as well as things done under the cover of darkness, fits better with the dark than the vast for this book. Also, Rivers Solomon. is on here twice, baby, because they are fantastic. The next one is the desolation, and personally my favorite fear, because there's something a little sexy about it, not gonna lie. So this is the manifestation of pain, loss, and unthinking or cruel destruction, quote unquote, all the worst parts of fire and none of the warmth. So for this one, I picked We Set the Dark on Fire / We Unleash the Merciless Storm, because it deals with themes of destruction, both chaotic and organized, and fire is in the name. So like, perfect. I don't know if I'm explaining these well, but I feel like if you get me, you get me. You know, you'll understand. Next one is the End. It is the oldest and most passive of the entities. Its fear influence includes death and the fear of death, as well as the cruel, unstoppable end of things. So this one, feel like it should be obvious, but maybe it isn't. It's They Both Die in the End. Another one. It's right in the name. But it also deals with the unstoppable nature of death, the common imagery associated with death and the surroundings, especially in this book, as well as death as a consequence and death as an accident. In the podcast, there is a character who can predict that death through dreams, and it kind of reminded me of the company that is used in this book that predicts the deaths of people. The next one is the Eye. It is the manifestation of being watched, exposed, followed, of having secrets known, but it's also the drive to know and understand, even to the point of your own destruction. And for this one, I picked a recent book that I read, which was Riot Baby. That one I didn't expect to love as much as I did, and holy cow. The reason why I picked the Eye for Riot Baby was the themes of being watched with the privatized halfway community, as well as like being in prison, and the end of knowledge destroying you, with Kev finding out about his thing. That book is so, I need to do an actual review of that book. It was so good. The next fear is actually my least favorite fear, because I think it is the grossest of all of them. It is the flesh. It is the fear of mutilation and having your body changed, destroyed, as well as the animal fear of being slaughtered for meat. It is the fear of being made into meat. It is also connected to insecurity and self-hatred, specifically regarding one's own body image. It is the newest of the entities. This one I picked Wilder Girls because it deals with themes of mutation and mutilation, though not self-inflicted. So it's being twisted and turned and bodies growing unnaturally. And again, I was sitting there reading this book like, damn, that's the flesh, all right. Gross. It's a good book, but gross. The Hunt is the animalistic, instinctual fear of being hunted, chased, or becoming prey. It doesn't affect humans that much, but it can still manifest with an affinity or love for tracking, finding, or hunting. And this one I picked, This Is How You Lose the Time War, because of themes of the love of the chase and deliberately prolonging the hunt for the thrill of it. I also feel like Wilder Girls can also fit in there because there are themes of tracking within it. But for me, This Is How You Lose the Time War was a big one because it's all about the thrill of it, the thrill of the hunt, and of being the hunted. Sorry, my cat is in a fucking thing right now. Young man, don't you know I'm recording? Okay. He can exit whenever he wants. He's just choosing not to. The next one is The Lonely. This is the manifestation of the fear of isolation, of being completely cut off and alone, and the fear of being disconnected. So for this one, I picked the comic book series Far Sector because it deals with themes of isolation, even within large groups of people. We deal with a character who has been cut off from her home world, where messages, emails, etc. take months to get from one end to another, and like dealing with being the only person with emotions on a planet where nobody else can feel the same thing she does. And K. Jemison, y'all, I didn't expect that one to touch me as much as it did, and oof, it did. It did a lot. Oof. The next one is The Slaughter. It is the fear of pure, unpredictable, unmotivated violence with strong ties to war. It is the fear of not knowing when, where, how, or why pain will come, but it will. and can be violent as a frenzied killer or cool, calm, and collected, like a group of soldiers firing on the battlefield. I picked Love to the War due to the fact that it had various scenes of violence being enacted on groups of people, both soldiers and civilians, and I just thought that having Ares as a character narrating the story really fit the themes of the slaughter very well. Next is the Spiral. This is the fear of madness, that your world isn't right, your mind is lying to you. It deals with deception, lying, deceiving the mind and the senses. The spiral is associated with fractal patterns, hallucination, doubts of sanity, impossible geometry, maddening realms of dimensions, doors, and mazes. And for this one, I picked The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein, because, again, it's in the title. It's all about the descent into madness. And you get to see, Elizabeth grappling with the fact that Victor has been and has always been lying to her. Next is The Stranger. This is the fear of things that are almost human, but not quite. The fear of the unknown, the creeping sense that something isn't right. This manifests as objects pretending to be humans, like mannequins, wax models, and taxidermy, and is often connected to skin, faces, and identity. This one gets really close to the Uncanny Valley. Again, not a fear that I enjoy. For this one, I picked Freshwater because Ada has so many gods residing in her. It doesn't make her entirely human, as well as there's themes of not truly knowing oneself and not being able to embody oneself fully. So I need to revisit that book, actually. That was a good book. Next is The Vast, which is our fear of insignificance in the universe, losing yourself to too much space, as well as heights, falling, and open spaces. It commonly manifests as void, vertical, and falling, but can deal with anything with openness and too much spaces. For this one, I picked The Deep, mainly because it deals with both the actual depths of the ocean, as well as the vastness of a whole people's history. I think that we have Yetu losing herself to both the ocean and her people's history, which I think is very good. And I think that Gideon the Ninth and An Unkindness of Ghosts can also apply to the vast due to themes of space and the vastness of it. But I think that The Deep just fits it a little better. And lastly, we have The Web. It is the fear of being controlled or trapped without knowing it, your will not being your own, being manipulated. It manifests as spiders, webs, web-like patterns, and puppets. And this one, I picked Legendborn. I can't stop thinking about this goddamn book, guys. It is so fucking good. Everything is connected. The game was rigged from the start. We have Bree being connected to the Round Table since birth. We have attempts to control her, Nick, and Cell, both implicitly and explicitly. We have just, everything just being tied together without knowing. And, it's so good. It's so good, guys. That book is so good. I'm going to listen to it on audiobook because God. The book is so good, y'all. Please, if you pick one book off this list, I'm begging you to read Legendborn. Stand Legendborn, friends. Clear skin. That is it for my recommendations. I hope you take them seriously. And also listen to the Magnus Archives. It's really good. And again, it's ending very soon. If you're a fan of the Magnus Archives and you know a bit about the entities, tell me how you think that these books applied to each entity today. Do you think I did a good job of explaining them? Or do you have your own recommendations based on the entities? Like I said, my favorite is the Desolation. My least favorite is the Flesh. So if you have recommendations for those based off those two entities, I will be glad to read them. But until next time, statement ends.